The first thing I think is really important to know is how to decipher between God's voice and your own. Sis, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Yes, we are married now, but I've absolutely been there. Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Melody and I make faith-based content here on YouTube. I post new videos every single Monday and Thursday. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely be sure to subscribe. I would love to have you join the family. So in today's video, we are going to be doing a good old Q&A. This is going to be a faith-focused Q&A and I got all of these questions from you guys here on YouTube. I normally do my Q&A questions over on Instagram, but this time I wanted to hear directly from you guys and you did not disappoint. I'm really excited to dive on into these questions. I'm going to get to as many as I possibly can without making this video too long. But before we hop into it, I want to let you know something exciting that is coming very soon. So I've been mentioning this resource to help you guys grow in your faith, this devotional that I'm going to be launching, and we officially have a launch date, October 10th. I am beyond excited for you guys to get your hands on this devotional. It's going to help you not just have more faith and grow in your faith, but first it's going to help you understand the character of God, which will undoubtedly allow you to trust Him more and grow in your faith. So this has been 2 years coming and I cannot wait for you guys to get your hands on it. So I want you to sign up via the link in the description box. That will add you to my email list and you will be the first to know when the devotional is available and when you can go and purchase. Again, I literally cannot wait for you guys to get your hands on this. So all that being said, let's go ahead and hop into this Q&A. So our first question today is, how do I let go of strongholds regarding my ex? My mind won't let me move forward. So first and foremost, sis, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Yes, we are married now, but I've absolutely been there. I've been there where it feels like there's just no way that my mind is going to let this go. And that absolutely is a stronghold. So first and foremost, we have to understand that we have to go to God. We have to lay this at His feet. And then this is the hard part. Once we lay it at His feet, we cannot pick it up again. We have to truly believe in our hearts that God is separating us as far as the east is from the west, from this person and from these thoughts that are rolling around in our brain. Now, if these thoughts do pop up again, this is where we also are equipped to combat these lies with truth. Sometimes we forget just how much power we have access to in the name of Jesus, and this is where you really have to tap into that. There's a Bible verse that comes to mind. I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on the screen. It comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 10, and it says, "We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God and take every thought captive to obey Christ, being ready to punish every disobedience when your obedience is complete." So Paul is really telling the church here at Corinth that every thought that is not in alignment with God's word, it has to go. And we have the authority to make it bow to the truth. So I would definitely start with doing these things. So I have my iPad here if you see me looking down. But our next question is, have you heard God tell you to wait? If so, how did that play out? What did it look like to wait for you? I hear God tell me to wait and I just need some insight, practical ways of what that looks like for others. So honestly, I love this question. As I was trying to rack my brain with moments where God has made me wait, I can literally think of 3 right off the top of my head, and they're all from completely different seasons of life. So the first time I really loudly heard God told me wait was back in 2017. I had just moved back to America from South Korea and I didn't want to be in America, and I decided that I wanted to move to Thailand. But when I had this thought and I started to share that with people in my life, I so loudly heard God say, wait. He took away every ounce of peace I had regarding that situation. He just plucked it all away with the quickness. And so in that circumstance, I waited. I decided, and I was just really steadfast. I put my heart into this position of, you know what, God, I'm not going to go anywhere until I feel like you give me the peace to do so. And I'm so grateful that I surrendered my plans to waiting for His peace, because a few months after feeling like God was saying no to Thailand, He then opened the doors for me to travel not by myself, but with one of my really close friends to Europe. I was able to spend 3 months in Europe, go to Ghana as well, and it was just an amazing trip, like literally trip of a lifetime. So that's the first one. And one that is more recent is quitting my job. I shared in a Truth Is episode a few weeks back, or maybe a month or so back, that I had been wanting to quit my job for years, okay? I was at my corporate job for almost 4 years, and I had probably been wanting to quit for the last 2. But every time I went to that door of like, okay, God, it's time, I'm ready to go, he said, no, wait, no, wait, no, wait. And as I just surrendered my plans to his, now that I have left the job, and I can just see his goodness in the timing. When we really wait on God, we're able to get in alignment with his timing and his will. Oftentimes the things that we want, we just want it fast. You know what I mean? Our timing and God's timing often do not mix, but when we surrender our timeline to his, that is when he truly is able to work things together for our good and his glory. So our next question is, I would love to get your take on making friends. I'm almost 30 years old and I don't have any Christian friends. I'm at the point where I don't want to be surrounded by anyone who isn't going to help me in my walk with the Lord. So yes, I feel like friendships are so incredibly important. I truly believe that some of the transformations that God wants to do in our life and our heart are literally contingent on the community that we are in. Community is imperative. If Jesus had friends, if he had an inner circle, we need it too. I believe in community so much so that I literally created a membership club where women are able to gather around from around the world. We do live Zoom calls, live Q&As. We have a private Discord group chat. It's just a great time. We're growing in our relationships with God. We're becoming the people God has created us to be, and we get to do it together. So my first piece of advice would be to look for online community. If you're finding yourself not really surrounded by Christian friends physically, it's not too late, or it's not too scary, or don't be too hesitant to go online. Really, it's going to come up to you putting yourself out there. God knows what we need. He knows you need friends and he knows you need community, but we have to do our part as well. So trial and error, putting yourself out there, really putting yourself in new situations to meet like-minded people. I know for me, in the seasons where I really felt like I didn't have a lot of female Christian friendships, I dove headfirst into my local church, and I really got plugged in and met friends that way. So I definitely suggest checking out one of these options, and just know that God cares about the things you care about. He cares about you having Christian friends, and he will provide. But like I mentioned, we definitely have to do our part as well. So our next question is kind of lengthy, but I'm just gonna sum it up. It basically says, how do we go about posting online for non-believers to get a grasp of what we're trying to share? We want to repost Christian content, but we also don't know if that is effective in them seeing it or turning them to God. So this is a great question. I love that you're concerned and thinking about how to turn the hearts of non-believers to the Lord. That is, after all, the Great Commission, and why we are here on earth, to know Jesus, to make him known. So for me, when I think of turning the heart of a non-believer to the Lord, I think that condemnation, guilt, shame, these are things that are going to be bombarded at them all the time through the world. They're not good enough here. They don't look pretty enough there. They sinned over here. Why did they do that instead of this? So as Christians, I think the way that we can really draw someone to the Lord is through love, through really meeting them where they are. I recently heard this story of a satanic priest, okay? So he was in it for a while. I think he went and did an interview. So at the interview, a Christian woman came up to him afterwards. She heard his interview, and instead of berating him and saying, you shouldn't believe this, you shouldn't be telling people to do this, why do you worship Satan, that's wrong, she gave him a hug. He said in an interview, I'll have it linked down below, that in that moment he felt the tangible love of God for the first time. So when I think of, again, ways that we can actually draw non-believers to God, it's going to be love. It's going to be pointing them in the direction of the Lord and reminding them at every single turn that they are not their mistakes. Yes, they made a mistake, but the Lord doesn't see them as a mistake. Yes, they did that thing, but that's not who they are. So I think just having conversations in person or even doing that online and really just reminding them of this fact, that's going to do so much. I think those are the seeds that are going to be planted, and you never know who's going to come along and water them, and bam, some beautiful trees could be growing. So our next question is, how have you embraced your femininity as a Christian woman? And how do you become more feminine? I feel like sometimes I'm not as nurturing or soft or loving or girly as other women, and it makes me feel like I'm not feminine enough. What are some feminine traits of a woman of God? So, great question, and full transparency, this is honestly something that I am still learning. I've recently been diving into this concept of biblical femininity through homemaking. Now, while homemaking and femininity definitely don't have to go together, that has been my introduction into this topic, and I love it. I feel like it's amazing to really dive into this concept and really understand the beauty of how God made us, because God is an intentional God. So, some of the characteristics I think of when I think of biblical femininity, I think nurturing, I think hardworking, I think diligent. I think she has a relational capacity that's going to differ from a male. I think also she has this certain softness to her. But something I do want to note is, just like all of us are unique, what femininity looks like in each and every one of our lives is going to look different too. So yes, they're going to be categories, but by no means are there checklists of like, okay, you have to be this soft and you have to be this nurturing, because that's where comparison can come into play. So really laying down comparison and asking God to show you, what does biblical femininity look like for me? Insert your name here. And I think it's going to vary from woman to woman. Again, yes, there's going to be certain categories and characteristics that each woman contains and that each woman has, but what that looks like for one woman is going to look different compared to the other. So one YouTube channel you should definitely check out if you're wanting to dive further into this is Bindi Mark. I'm gonna have that linked not linked, but like listed right here, spelled out for you, and also I'll have that linked in the description box. So our final question today is all about the voice of God and discernment. So it says, please do a video on discernment, God's voice versus just your thoughts or the enemy's. I have another question that was very similar to it. I've coupled together, and it says, how do you experience God's voice and knowing his will in your daily life? So the first thing I think is really important to know is how to decipher between God's voice and your own. And this is where discernment is key. And the thing about discernment is we have the authority and the opportunity to go to God and ask him for discernment. So if we go to God and we say, Lord, I feel like X, Y, and Z, is that me? Is that you? Is that the devil? Please give me discernment. The Lord is going to give us wisdom. He's going to give us insight. So for me, that is the first place that I'm going to start with that. Now, the second thing you want to do after you ask for discernment is really ask yourself the question, does it line up with the word? Anything that comes from God is going to be backed up in his word. Anything that comes from the devil is going to contradict the word. Anything that you're thinking, it might go one way or the other. So you just want to go back and really see, does this line up with the word? Now, another thing you want to keep in mind here is something that comes from God. It may be full of correction, but it's not going to be full of condemnation. So if you're finding yourself spiraling or feeling feelings of shame, guilt, just feeling like what mistake you made, you are the mistake. Anything that takes you away from correction and moves you over to the condemnation, that is not going to be something that comes from God. And lastly, you can ask yourself this question too, is this something that I naturally would want to do? Oftentimes, God is going to call us outside of our comfort zone. So it's going to be a good thing, but it's often going to be right outside of our comfort zone and not something we naturally would want to do ourselves. So that can also point you in the direction of knowing, okay, is this God or is this me. If you want to dive even further into this topic, I got you covered, sis. So inside my membership club, there actually is a masterclass, a 25-minute teaching all about hearing the voice of God, how to decipher it, different examples of how God spoke to people in the Bible, as well as practical tips that you can use today to decipher whether you are hearing your own thoughts or you are hearing God. So I'll have the link to join the membership club in the description box. It is amazing, if I do say so myself. All right, guys, so that is going to be it for me. This is part 1 of our faith-based Q&A. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And because this is a good old Q&A, I would love to know in the comments below, how are you doing this week? What is one high and one low? And if you are feeling very open, please share with us maybe one praise report or prayer request that we can keep in mind for you this week. I think we have an amazing community here in the comment section, so let's definitely rally around each other, and we never know the power of prayer that we can have in someone else's life. So leave a comment down below and feel free to scroll through and take a moment to lift up your fellow sisters in Christ to the Lord. All right, ladies, per usual, I love you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.